Okay, I'd like to call to order the Romeo District Library meeting at Grosvenor Library on Wednesday, March 8th at 7:02 p.m. And with that, can we do the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. All good? Okay. Can I get a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And can I get a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, okay, and a roll call?
Servito Smith,
Yes.
RC,
Yes.
Lena Miller. Yes. Grandstaff,
Yes.
Melina.
Yes.
Okay, and we have,
This is Chuck Shibakasi, but he's part of my director's report.
right, okay. Nice to meet you, Chuck.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, other than Chuck, there's no public participation, so. Our next one, director's report. I'm gonna
Sure.
go through that.
For community outreach, we're going to be partnering with Extra Credit Union for a story walk in April. It's Financial Literacy Month. It's a book about an owl and an otter who are friends and have a garage sale. So they're learning how to work with money. But Extra is going to open a new credit union in Washington Township, and so they're reaching out in the community and trying to get more involved, and we were happy to help. And so they're paying for the expense of getting everything printed and all that stuff. So that works out well. I have a fun story to share that didn't make it into the report, but I wanted to tell you. There was a little girl who came in with her grandparents last week, yeah. She marched up to the desk and said, "I'd like to make a donation." And she had saved her Christmas and birthday money. She was 7 years old, and she had $22. And she wanted us to buy unicorn books with them, with the money. So we sent her a letter today thanking her for her contribution and how her thinking of the library will ensure that the library is here for generations to come.
Right.
So, but she was very specific about the unicorns, and I thought it was really cool. So, yeah,
Good.
It was neat. It was neat. Facilities. Chuck Shibakasi is here. He is our contract employee for facilities. He works on an hourly basis as needed and is very good about keeping his time to a minimum. He's also the guy who's been cleaning both buildings for a very long time. So he's here in the middle of the night. He can tell you what happens after hours.
Not much.
That's a good thing. Yeah. But the parking lot is now fully illuminated and safer now that the electrician has completed the repair work. So this end of the parking lot is actually lit. It's also safer because Chuck filled a pothole yesterday that was eating tires.
Including
So-
his.
Oh no. Including his own, right? But that is just an example of one of the way that Chuck approaches the job is that he doesn't see a problem and figure out who he needs to call to get to come do it. He sees the problem and does it himself.
Great.
It saves us a great deal of money. If he's able to, yes.
Yeah.
We appreciate that he knows his limits as well.
Thank you.
The Holds lockers are here.
Oh, good.
And there's a set of them at Kezar and a set here in the back. And they're going to be installed next week. He'll be here on Monday night and we'll work all day Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to install the lockers and train the staff. Chuck has worked with an electrician who's going to be doing all the hardwiring through the basement of Kezar to get Because it has to be a hardwired internet line, it can't be Wi-Fi, and we have to get an electrical outlet there so that everything works and all that kind of stuff, but it's coming together. Do you have an update on the new HVAC unit?
Yeah, I talked to them today and they got a hold of the manufacturer and they'll call me as soon as they get a definite date.
Okay,
And it was supposed to be January, so we're about 6 weeks from what they estimated.
originally, okay, so we're hoping sometime this spring we'll have a new,
Yeah.
yeah,
So far though, the old ones, that's what's heating this room.
right. Chuck knows how to fix it now. There's a sensor that needs to be cleaned off sometimes, and he climbs up on the roof and takes care of it for us, so.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. We were closed 2 days in late February because of the ice storm, and then because it knocked out what's the word I'm looking for?
Eat.
No, the big unit. The transformer. Thank you.
Oh,
The transformer apparently fell down.
oh my God.
So, from the weight of the ice. So we were out for 2 days. Any other updates from facilities that you would like to share with us?
Not really updates.
Okay.
Besides the lockers being installed. No, there's no updates. There's things I'd like to do this coming year,
Okay.
if we can. Like changing all the fluorescents over to LED,
Oh,
which would be a
nice.
big project, but I'd like to look into doing that. And, well, I'd like to paint Keysar, because last year we touched it up just to get through the winter.
The exterior.
Where-
Yeah, the whole
Yeah,
thing.
the outside, is that?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been, I think, it's been like 8 years.
I was gonna say 7 or 8, yeah.
Also over there, the electrical panel, you remember I had DTE shut the power so I could try and keep the water from coming in?
Water was coming
Well,
through the electrical panel in the basement.
They said that all needs to be
said that?
updated.
Oh, jeez.
You know, the power comes inside with the meter inside. Like at home, they're all outside.
Okay,
So that should all be updated.
so,
When
When-
you're saying updated, are you meaning
It
put outside?
put outside.
Yeah.
The power from the pole actually comes into the building, into a big box, which is pretty dangerous. I have a lock on it right now.
so do we have to have the electrical company do that, or how does that
No, an
work?
electrician, and he'll work with DTE because they have to shut the power from the pole.
Right, okay.
But we should do that sometime. I mean, it's working okay, but it's old.
The clock's ticking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would that be done on a weekend?
I'm not sure how long it would take. I'd have to get with the electrician, find out exactly. But yeah, we could do it on, probably on a
Or
Sunday.
you'd have to close the library, right?
Right,
yeah,
right. Yeah.
I'll look into
yeah,
it.
get that fixed, as
Okay. I'll use the
Thank you.
same guy.
The electrician that he found who did the parking lot lights is now doing the wiring for the Holz lockers, and he's been fantastic and really reasonably priced. So,
good.
yeah, if we use him again for that, that
Yeah,
would be.
at least he shows up when he says he's going to.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a challenge.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
in itself is a rare thing. to
Right.
That pull out the parking lot, huh? I mean, nobody ever even calls back at the beginning to even want to do it.
No, it took months to get somebody out here.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That was one of the first things
I
Chuck
remember
started
that.
on.
Sign out there took months to get that fixed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Chuck.
Yeah,
Oh,
thanks, Chuck.
okay.
Were you the one who found out that the building was leaking when it was leaking and there was flooding a while ago? That was a
Yeah.
few years
It-
ago.
At the beginning of COVID?
Yeah, Foundation Systems of Michigan took care of that, but they wouldn't touch that box. They don't touch
Oh, this,
anything
Keysar,
electric.
is that what you're
Yeah,
talking
no,
about?
actually here.
No,
Oh,
here,
here?
Yes.
no, that was
That was
Linda.
me. I
Oh,
came-
that was you?
Yeah, I don't remember
You were
when I
feeding the
came here.
fish.
It was closed. The
Yeah.
library was closed.
It was
And I was
a
in
week
the
into COVID.
back
Oh, my
doing
goodness.
something in my office, and so I decided to go up front and water the plants. You know, because we were shut down, and when I went out there, there was just like a flood, water. I was walking in puddles, you know, like it was over my
Oh.
shoes.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
so.
Do you remember that, Chuck?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
that,
so I
yeah.
took some pictures and
Oh.
sent it to Claire. Hey,
That's
we've got a problem.
I love those texts.
So you
I
didn't
guess
have-
that's why, I'm sorry, I guess that's why I thought it was Chuck, because if you're here at night, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, we were closed down because it was COVID.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was like
So
10 days
it was
into
dead.
COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
The new boiler's working pretty good though, huh?
Mm-hmm, yeah, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It maintains the heat when the rooftop units shut off.
So,
Good.
yeah, so we're lucky to have them.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, things are going well. And we have seen a decrease in spending in his line item in the budget. So we appreciate that a great deal. So, partly because he's doing so much of the work himself. Instead of hiring
Well, and I've
painters, he
gotten rid
doesn't.
of a few of the contractors
Yeah,
who were doing nothing.
right. Yeah, he's cleaned things up a bit.
What does the financial advisor say, that historical results don't mean the future results or something? So,
Mhm.
because you could get stuck with something real big tomorrow and
Oh,
you
yeah.
have no clue today, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for your hard work.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looking out for things that need to be done too.
Yeah,
That helps.
if you want to go clean a Keyser, you can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it was
Thank
good to
you.
meet you all.
Yep, nice to meet you. Yep.
So the Great Michigan Read is a program from the Michigan Humanities Council, and they announced on March 1st that the next Great Michigan Read title is The Firekeeper's Daughter. I was on the final selection committee for that book, so I was kind of excited about that. But The Firekeeper's Daughter is about a young woman who is the daughter of a rich white woman and a Native American man, and their families do not see eye to eye. And but it's also a murder mystery, and there's drugs involved, and it's a very exciting book. It's really, really good. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes, and the author is coming. The book is actually being made into a movie right now. The Obamas bought the rights to it. So, and the sequel to it is coming out this year as well. So that'll be good. The Michigan Library Association, I have recently signed up to be a mentor. Because I was nudged by the executive director of Michigan Library Association. So I had a mentor through the same program, and I wanted to pay it forward, pay it back a little bit. I'm also a member of the MLA Legislative and Advocacy Committee again. We're looking at proposed bills that want to censor books in public libraries and make librarians responsible and chargeable if there are books that are obscene in the library. So we're opposing that. And in fact, it is against the law for libraries to have books that are deemed obscene legally. So there are no books in libraries in Michigan that are obscene by definition of the Miller Act. That, I know. And the Miller Act is what defines obscenity in the United States, so good job, Liam.
Nothing to do with you though, right?
And then there's also a couple of legislators who have brought forward, they're trying to get libraries on the list of locations where you cannot open carry guns. Because right now it is totally legal to open carry in a public library. So, but it's not in schools or in sports stadiums or lots of other, there's a pretty good list of places, but we're trying to get public libraries added to that. So, this is March's Reading Month, so the Friends are having a $3 bag sale in both buildings. A couple other things, I checked the archives. They're making good progress. They're up to 1879 on the boxes of books. So they're, or of the Record. No, the Observer.
Okay.
So
1879?
1879.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a ways to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have. They've done decades so far. I am working on comparison of stats with other libraries. I've talked to a couple of the directors trying to get some guidance because it's so tricky, and all of them said, "Oh, I wouldn't touch that." So, I have found a couple other libraries that are similar in size but have, or similar in demographics, And I'm trying to compare, but they don't necessarily keep statistics the way we do, so it's a lot of apples and oranges kind of thing, or, you know, different varieties of apples anyway. So I'm working on that, and I'll have something
Good.
for you next time.
Okay.
The last thing I wanted to tell you about was that this is the lovely prize for our bingo game.
Nice.
And they're ceramic, but they look like tin cups. But they say Romeo District Library on them.
Nice.
So we've had a few people, a handful of people collect who have done the library bingo board, and they get to come in and get a cup. The kids have been really excited. So,
Good.
yeah. For upcoming programs, the online author presentations, the first one is next week. It's a nonfiction book called Range, Why Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World. That's David Epstein. And that's at 1 o'clock, so if you could convince your boss you need to do that during the workday, that it'd be beneficial. There you go. March 21st at 4 p.m., Chef Gerard Wells, author of Southern Inspired, which is a cookbook, will be talking. He's a Food Network guy, I guess, or DIY Network, or
Okay.
one of those. March 28th is Pam Jenhoff, who has a new book called Codename Sapphire, and she also did Lost Girls of Paris. That should be a really good discussion. This Saturday is Puzzle Day at Grosvenor again. It'll be here. You can bring a team and do a puzzle. That's from 1 to 4. The genealogy workshop at Kezar is going to be this Saturday at 11 a.m. And then Romeo Reads kicks off on Thursday nights for Call Me Athena. And that book is about an immigrant daughter of a Greek father and a French mother. And it takes place during the 1930s. So there's stuff about the UAW and Henry Ford, and
Wow.
there's some really interesting stuff. So, and there's also a bit of a epistolary part of the novel where the parents are writing back and forth before they get married. You get to read their old postcards. So that's what the program's about tomorrow night, the significance of postcards in wartime communication. And then next week is Greek food tasting. Pamela's Catering is going to be here to do that. That should be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have to sign up for that?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yeah. And then March 23rd is information about the Ford Hunger March. She got somebody from the Detroit Historical Museum, I think, to come do that. And then the Detroit Industry Murals at the DIA by Diego Rivera are going to be discussed on March 30th. So we've got Stacy Guzzo does the lineup for that, and I think she did an awesome job this year.
I'm sorry to interrupt, are there more books, Call Me Athena books?
Yes.
At the library that are available?
I don't know if we have any available for checkout, but they are available for sale at $20 a piece. It's a fundraiser for the Friends that helps pay for the program. So,
Okay.
9th grade Battle of the Books is coming up on the 18th, and 5th grade Battle of the Books is coming up on the 25th. Those are going to be exciting times. So, I think that's all I've got.
So on a genealogy workshop, what is that? You know what that is, or?
Emily, our archivist, is going to be teaching people how to use some of the software that we have,
Okay.
and showing people how to search for obituaries and things like that.
Oh, neat.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So anybody who's interested in delving into their family tree a little bit, that's a good place to start.
Okay.
That is a very large group of people
Yeah.
Yeah.
that are into that.
Right.
I'm on the board over at Wisner in Pontiac, and they have like 2 or 3 groups that they are constantly, because of all the old books that
Right.
we have there. So having the Observer available will be a big draw, and the more she can get done, the
Yeah.
better off
Yeah.
we'll be.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Good.
always nice to see how she has displays.
Her
No.
displays and her
Yes.
Facebook posts are really good, yeah.
Yes.
She's got a March Madness display up right now. It's all historical basketball photos from Romeo.
Okay.
So it's it's really cute.
Fun. Yeah, she has really nice displays.
Do we have any update on the execution of the strategic plan?
I'll have that for you next month as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm planning to do it quarterly.
Okay, good.
So, and that will have been,
Oh, then I'm,
oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then like the Orange Boy, maybe you can comment on that next month too, that'd be good.
Okay,
Just to see what, what's been done and
Yeah.
what's gonna be done or
Okay.
whatever.
okay.
Good. Okay. Any questions for Claire
It
on
was
her report?
not on your report, but it's always fun to see, and to read, like what Stacy writes.
Oh, the department
and-
reports?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many students, 170 students came out for the, yes.
And the pop-up library that they're doing at lunchtime at the 9th grade academy had, I think, 7 students, 6 or 7, which is a huge percentage increase from what they had before. So, and that was just the first time, and I got them a cool tablecloth that says pop-up library that they'll be able to take with them next time. It just came in today. So, we missed one because of a snow day, so I think they have, their second one will be next week.
Good.
But that's coming along.
That's a neat idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
good.
I have
Yep.
a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So when Chuck was talking about projects that he thought we should be doing in the future, which those sound like very good projects that should be done.
Important, yes.
Is that at the discretion of you, Claire, or how does that work?
It's to a certain degree, it's to my discretion, but because of the dollar amount involved that I anticipate for those, it's also up to you guys.
Okay.
So,
Right.
yeah.
If it goes over your limit.
My spending limit is $7,500, so,
Yeah.
Okay.
or $74.99, I think.
But if you're asking if Chuck does those, makes decisions on his own,
No,
he does not. He
No.
does it always through Claire.
Good.
but, and he and I were discussing getting started on the possibility of the building expansion too, and the information gathering with that, so
Okay,
we're working on that as well.
good. Yeah, that electrical problem sounds
It's been like that for longer
Is
than
it?
I care to tell you.
good then. Okay.
Well, no, it has been like that since his predecessor was here.
Oh,
And
okay,
we were always just told, it's fine.
okay,
But Chuck said, this isn't right,
yeah,
and did a little more digging and got the information we needed, so,
well, good,
yeah.
okay. Anything else for Claire? Okay.
No.
So, president and trustee reports, did you wanna start?
the only thing I wanted to point out, in case you didn't read it, is Michigan class, the interest is at 4.5%, which we haven't seen anything like that in years.
Yeah.
Great.
So, and that's why that balance is so high,
Right.
but at 4.5%.
Well,
makes
we've
a
been
lot of
getting
sense.
our tax dollars in from the townships.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
just transferred $1 million over into Michigan class, so that with that percentage,
Right.
we can
Yeah.
earn a bit more money. We just reinvested our certificate of deposit too that we have with Chase Bank, and we got 4.75 for a 12-month. So,
Okay.
That's a good rate.
yeah,
Yeah,
better than we've seen
Yeah,
in a
they're-
while.
oh, for sure.
There
Yeah.
definitely, rates are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I did a T-bill, 30-day T-bill for 4.7 today,
Nice.
just for 30 days.
Yeah.
So it was like,
That's good.
that was like totally awesome.
Yeah.
The-
I, first off, just got this in the mail, thank you. This is an excellent tool. I know it's not just one person, but there's someone that is.
Lisa Honer. She's our communication specialist. She does all our PR and marketing. And she's the one who's corrals all of the information and makes it pretty. So, yeah, she does a really nice job.
Yeah, she is doing a great job, and both the wife and I read this
Good.
when we get it, and it's really helpful to, I think after we read it, it goes in by the calendar so that you can find some of the things you're looking for, but
Yeah.
we owe that lady a thank you for what she does.
I will pass that along to her.
It's always interesting and fun, and
I like that she's been using our pictures for the cover too. That
Yes.
it's library activities that are on the cover. There was
Yes.
one recently where the van was in front of the middle school and that was the cover. And yeah.
Good. Good. Anything with you?
I just wanted to say that I was looking at the scholarships, and the Friends has a library scholarship,
Yes, they do.
which is really neat.
Any
And-
senior who's ever done anything to help at the library is eligible for that scholarship. Any high school senior.
That's
So,
so neat.
and there are not many who apply for that one. So it's really, all you gotta do is fill it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And if you've ever volunteered here or done anything to help at the library, you're qualified. So.
That's good.
Yeah, so I would like to say thank you to the Friends, because they really do so much
Mhm.
that I think, like, I don't even know everything they do, so that's really cool that they do.
Yeah. Good.
I just want to say, I'm with Bill on the way this booklet came out, and I went ahead and passed along the story time information to my daughter-in-law for my grandson.
Yay! Yay.
She was very glad I sent that to her.
Good. Our story times keep getting bigger. I don't know if you've seen the numbers in the statistics or in the department reports, but you can tell when it's story time morning when you go in the parking lot. It's SUVs and minivans, just full, and strollers everywhere. So yeah, it's a lot. Sometimes I try to be up at the front when it's story time morning, just so I can see it, so I can see the parade of cuteness that comes in. But yeah, so and I'm glad there will be one of your grandchildren there. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, it's really great to see all the activities coming back
Yeah.
and really coming in full
Yeah.
force.
Right. All right, I didn't have anything, so old business, there's nothing there that, unless anyone else has anything. New business, first item is the meeting minutes procedures. And what I asked to see if we could talk about the meeting minutes, and not that we're doing them wrong or bad or anything, but there's certain things that when we have discussions, like on the strategic plan or the budget, there's certain things that we talk about that are kind of important, or, you know, like the air conditioning or the septic field or the sewer hookup, things that are important that don't ever seem to get into the minutes. And I'm not saying anything's right or wrong, I'm just saying, should they be, number one, and then number two, if we want them to be in the minutes, how do we go about doing that in the future? And I know Claire has shared some.
Yeah, I gave you some background as far as what
Yeah.
we're required to do, and what, yeah.
And so I think everyone has, you know, good input and on various items, and it seems like, you know, all we have is yays or nays, or,
Right.
and we don't really get to capture some of
The discussion.
comments or discussion. And so just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. Are we missing out? Are things okay? What are your guys' thoughts?
Can I ask Linda
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
question?
Yeah.
So, how long have they been like this, and what was the?
I mean, they've gone all over the place over the last 12 years that I've been here. They were extremely long in the first, say, 5 years I was here with the first couple of directors. I mean,
Right.
the font was 8, and they were in excess of 10 pages
Oh
long.
my gosh.
And so they did, you know, John streamlined them, but probably for the last 5 years at least, it was actually the board that decided major decisions, motions and major decisions would be in the minutes. And so, I mean, it's whatever you want, you know, you can have, like, if you ask like, how do you go about it, you just, you
Right.
know, if everybody agrees that this is what you want. But it's probably been about 5 or 6 years that it's been streamlined.
Okay. And where I see is, like, Bill will have a great suggestion or comment, you know, for or against a proposal, and we really don't have, it's like having the dinner but no steak and potatoes with it. And I don't know if that's a good analogy, but.
Let me add too, though, one of the reasons that supported the, you know, having more of the bullet items was
Right.
that the media companies were very quick on putting it on the online, the entire
That's
meeting.
true.
Okay, and so, I mean, that made a difference too.
Right.
Because
But
before
that
it would.
requires you to go back and view the video in order to capture some of the discussion.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm
Right.
kind of in favor of maybe just a few, especially if there's an action item that results, or like with regard to the strategic plan, I think there was a lot of discussion that, you know, unless you had your
Yeah.
own notes, it's lost.
Right,
I mean, other than going back and watching the video, but
right,
I don't think there'd be any harm in capturing some key discussion.
right,
That would be my
Yeah.
sense.
yeah, no, I agree, I just, what I'm kind of trying to figure out is, there's a happy medium that we don't need
Yeah.
8 font.
We don't need
and-
10 pages.
In
but-
10 pages, but an extra bullet or two.
Right.
If somebody says something that is, I don't wanna say deemed important, or maybe we say that, you know, you say, well, there needs to be, you know, we talked about it and we needed to change it to amend XYZ or something, or,
Can I
Yeah,
make a
go
point
ahead.
there?
Yep.
As you're talking, the stuff
Yep.
is all going through my head.
yeah,
So I think it's important to do bullet points
Mhm.
on the pros and the cons of what we hear from people
right.
at the table.
Mhm.
Because when we look, for instance, at a motion and it passed because maybe it was 4 to whatever,
Mhm.
and nobody would really understand unless you watched it,
Right,
what all the points were of
Right.
why people voted the way that they did. And I think it's
Right.
important to, I wouldn't want it all dragged out, you know, translated like that, but bullet points, I think, are really good, so
Right.
people understand the pros and cons of how we voted.
Right.
right.
I
That-
would
but-
agree with that.
Yeah,
So, Claire, could you maybe like just, you know, I know you highlighted in the notes, but could you just, I don't
Yeah,
know, just
well, on
clarify
page
what that
28.
says, yeah.
Page 28 says highlights of discussion, and I think that kind of summarized some of the points we all just brought up.
My thinking is though, it becomes a little difficult then, it would
Mhm.
seem to me, where you cut things off.
Right.
Like, what exactly is sufficient enough to include? And then if you start getting into, well, who said this and who said that, then I think it seems like some of that
Mhm.
might be open to interpretation. And
Mhm.
somebody might be saying,
That's
"Oh,
what Linda
not-"
told me before, when we had longer minutes, that
Mhm.
there was a lot of, that's not what I said, and what I
Okay.
meant was,
Okay.
and she's the one who said that, not me, and,
Yeah,
so
and I think if
it's
we,
a little bit of a slippery slope, but
yeah, I think if we ask her to add something, you know, and then as we're
Well,
talking
we
through
review the
something.
meetings, the meeting minutes before they're published, so it's not
Right.
like,
True.
so we
Right.
would review them before the notes were published, so.
Right,
Um,
but I
this-
think, again, I think that when we talk about things, you know, we all have good points, you know, plus or minus for whatever the item is, and, if somebody was to look at the meeting minutes a year later, or 6 months later, or
Yeah.
whatever, they wouldn't really get the flavor of why we decided for.
there is an advantage to that.
Mhm,
When there was a lawsuit 7 years ago, was it 7 years ago?
mhm.
7 or 8 years ago?
Okay.
when the minutes are a little more sparse, they can't be picked apart and used against us if that
Right.
kind of thing comes up again.
Mhm.
So, and I think that was one of the reasons that the board voted, and Bill's the only one here from that board, but I think that was one of the reasons the board said, let's streamline this a little bit
Mhm.
so that the because the opposing attorneys had a field day with the very long minutes and all of
Right.
and this is what he said and all of that kind of thing, so.
Right.
Oh, that's an excellent
Did you-
point.
Yeah, but, you know, from the same token, like when the sewer guy told us there would be no
Right,
additional costs,
Uh-huh.
if that was in the minutes, because that was a perfect question.
Well, we have it on video.
Right.
Well, I know, but
And that's
it
actually
was
better
like,
when it's on video.
well, it's,
Yeah,
yeah, but that's if you go back and
Yeah.
have the,
yeah,
you know, you have the wherewithal to be able to go back, pull the video up and watch the video. And whereas you could have the minutes and it would say, well, you know, so-and-so, that was from the sewer department,
Yeah.
told us there'd be no additional costs, so, you know.
So Claire, like,
Those are
that's-
kind of big things, right? Especially when he was here and we were grilling him, right?
Yeah. Jim, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just wondering, like, so best practices, Claire, like what, that always comes up.
like what are
best
other
practices.
libraries doing,
Well, like-
what's
like
recommended
what-
by?
Like, how do we make it clear, concise, without adding extra things?
Mhm.
And so, and just to make sure that we have it accurate.
I think it's tricky because deciding what's noteworthy and what's not is, because we could have Linda write down everything we say,
No, I don't want to
and,
do that.
you know, but I don't,
I mean, some of the examples, you know, I look back at some of the meeting minutes and from last year, and like some of the examples of having a little bit of what you might have said. And it's like the bids for the sewer connection from November of 2020. And yeah, like the comment was, La Piccolo shared the bids for the sewer connection and septic field crushing received in the fall of 2020. It was agreed to put this item on hold and revisit in a year or two with updated pricing. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a major discussion. That's, you know, so,
and it was in there.
and
And
then,
we are, we already do that to a
So,
certain degree, but if you guys want more,
yeah, I mean, so like another one, like Al Miller requested that Meeker advise the board in October meeting for the size dimensions available for the space on the east side of the property. Once the sewer line is hooked up, Meeker will schedule a meeting to discuss potential ideas for the future use of this property. And then I put Al Miller requested Meeker provide an update on to the board in the October meeting for the strategic plan. So those, you know,
Yeah.
if that's what you're talking about, I mean, it's fine, maybe there's not enough of it, you wanna see more because
Just
that kind of stuff.
just maybe
We've
this
had
much
some really
more.
great meetings, and maybe
Yeah.
it's just the lately. I
Right.
mean, when you have a 25-minute meeting, we don't have a lot of discussion
Right.
about things, but,
Right.
Yeah, but when, for example, with the strategic plan, we had a lot of discussion. And unless you took specific notes, none of that was captured, unless we go back and revisit. Because
Watch
all
the
you
video.
said was plan accepted, or,
right. Yeah.
so.
Well,
Yeah.
now
Yeah,
see
Go
how-
ahead, Bill.
yeah, Bill's been trying to talk.
Yeah, because I probably wouldn't have put the discussion surrounding the,
Okay.
I don't want to be a cynic or someone who, can I find the right words to say this? A lot of people don't follow what we do that close. I could probably count on one hand, maybe two, being stopped by someone who wants to know something that the library did. When we did the last strategic plan, I was one of the members that was out in the lobby had big sign telling
Oh,
what we were doing.
6 years ago or whatever, yeah.
Yes, I mean, it was really important as far as we were concerned to get the community input. And for the 3 or 4 people that stopped and asked a question or wanted to know something about it, one guy just wanted to know when we were gonna get a new parking lot and could we get a different curve thing to it. That's straight out, you know.
I bet I know who that was.
Huh?
I bet I know who that was.
He was quite adamant about just a straight line out, don't this curve business. You know, well, you know, I've got all this material here that we had discussed for how many meetings, and I think most people, my way of looking at it is we have had a phone call out to patrons. We have encouraged people to give us comments, and most people seem happy. They come in, they get to read the newspaper, or they get to read one of the magazines, or they find their book, or if they don't, they're gonna let us know, which is good. And I think some of the comments, what is it, Orange Boy, makes about some of the things that you are doing are really good. We are in the upper percentage of libraries. I don't know if having as much information available to people about what we talk about at the meetings, and you know, probably I'm gonna get some phone calls because of this, but to me, most people, as long as we are taking care of them, they're not gonna sit and run and get a copy of the minutes to read what we said. That's my feeling on it. I've been here for 10 years, I think, give or take. And I'm, you know, I've not had that many people come up and want to talk to me about whatever. I just...
So most patrons, I think, are interested, like you said, in coming and finding the book that they want, finding the activity they want. So this level of documentation, I think, is beneficial for us, for future trustees, for past trustees, perhaps. You know, that we're a little bit more down into that level of detail. So I can't imagine any patron saying, I want to see last night's minutes. That's not good.
They used to.
Really?
Yeah, we used to have that.
You know, just let me ask a question too, is like, just to your point about the strategic plan, see, even in the old day, if you had a discussion regarding the strategic plan and ultimately it got approved, if that discussion did not ultimately end up in an edit of this strategic plan, or somebody wasn't given an assignment,
or there was something that was resulting other than the discussion that led to the approval, I probably wouldn't have had that discussion in there. So if you want to change that, but that probably just, I'm drilling on that particular item, I probably, even in the old, it probably wouldn't have included any of the discussion, but unless something, you know, like task oriented, or it altered it or changed it in some way. So, I mean, that maybe is.
And I think that's what you'd capture though, is a task.
Okay.
Something that resulted from the discussion,
Oh.
not necessarily, Joanne said, then Leanne commented, I mean, not that
Yeah.
level of detail, but if
Right.
there was
Well, I
something
got
that
to that level of
resulted
detail
from.
on a lot of things.
Oh, no,
Oh, absolutely,
no,
yeah.
God, I couldn't imagine.
So, yeah.
But I think tasks that come, you know, he just mentioned that he'd like to replace all the changed up fluorescent lights. I mean, that might be a valuable thing to put in there for budget planning. I mean, I don't know, but
Right.
I think some of
I-
that stuff is worthwhile.
Yeah, I just think, you know, to me, the one that sticks in my head is the one where he had the question about
Sure.
the sewer.
The sewer.
And is there any more cost? Well, no, there's no more cost. And then 3 months later,
Yeah.
Claire gets a call, so.
So you're thinking that these extra bullet points or whatever would be helpful to us,
Right.
Yeah.
to help
Right.
remind us
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not saying that we
of
need
what
to
we
do
talked about.
he said, she said, or anything like that, but make just anything that's major, because that would have
Yeah.
been
I
kind of a
agree
key
with
thing to put the minutes that, you know, there's no additional cost, so the board said, okay. You know, had it been, we known it was another $30,000, we would have probably all choked,
Yeah.
you know? But we were kind of like, already too far down the tracks, so, okay.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
We get a draft
Mhm.
of the minutes of the previous month.
Right,
Do you read them?
yeah,
I do.
yeah, yeah. And I think
I
that,
do.
Yeah.
I think,
you know, and with that thought in mind, I think we need to, as they come to us, you know, bring those to the meeting and say, I think we need to add this and this and this.
Well, you can respond on email,
Right.
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
you
I'll
sent
get
them
them
out.
out, you know, I'll get them out sooner to you,
Yeah.
and then if you have something,
Right.
and then, you know, then we can have
Okay.
it taken care of even before, so that you don't have
Okay.
to go through all that and talk
Right.
about it. and-
Isn't
Okay.
that the proper procedure to have it
Yeah.
done
Yeah, they need
before,
to be
Yeah.
approved before published, right.
Okay.
before we
We've had it
get
so many
here?
different ways over the years, I mean, we just really
Okay.
have.
But if we
Things have
wait
been
until the
something.
meeting
Yeah.
then and go through all that, then
We don't want to do that.
No.
we're just gonna
Right.
There was one
backtrack.
time, for a while, we hired a court reporter.
Whoa.
Oh,
Now, the
really?
reason we didn't hire her to
Wow.
pay her, she was a student at Macomb, but it was a court reporter, that's.
Oh,
To get that level of
I
detail.
remember there was somebody.
No,
And then I
no,
didn't
no.
have to come, and then I didn't come anymore for.
Then we'd have to read those too. No, no. No. I-
One
Okay,
small benefit of that.
okay,
Do we have to vote on this?
no,
Oh.
It's a discussion.
I just wanted
Okay.
to discuss that.
So
So
we'll
thank
have
you.
it in the minutes.
Thank you for,
I think it's worthwhile. I feel.
yeah, thank you for
So-
putting it on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah. And I just, one of the reasons I included the Open Meetings Act was because I wanted to make sure everybody had a copy anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's some
That's
important
good.
stuff in there, that's why I put the whole thing in there.
That's
So-
good.
If you get a chance,
I did.
peruse that. Thank you,
And
Leanne.
I faded out at the end, so I.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Next item is material selection policy update. So Claire, do you want to talk about that one?
Well, our previous selection policy was 6 pages long and had a lot of philosophy in it. And so I have been part of several discussions about First Amendment and censorship and book banning and all of that kind of thing in meetings in the last several months, because there's a lot going on around the state and around the country. And my thought was, we need to update this, because if somebody is angry about a book we have and we say, here, you have to read this, and the first thing is a lecture about why censorship is bad, and, you know, that's not gonna get them to a reasonable place at all.
Right.
So, this is updated information. It is,
Mhm.
I put it together based on several other libraries, including Kent District and Baldwin and Birmingham, and Bloomfield Township and West Bloomfield and some of the other bigger libraries that have dealt with some of the issues.
Yeah,
So I shortened it and made it more concise. And there are also, I streamlined the steps about how to file a complaint. So that's outlined in there. I changed it so that it's, I make the final decision, but there is a chance to appeal it, and then you all would have to review whatever is challenged. But anything that's challenged will come to me first. That way you don't have to deal with all of that. But
So is there a policy that's like recommended by the state?
no.
Oh, there's not.
But a lot of these policies have been written by a law firm out of Lansing, and those are the ones I borrowed from. So, and there are things like there has to be an appeal process. Legally, that's important. And the information about who is collecting the materials, and it's our professional staff who, based on experience and education and training, is able to do this, and that's why they're trusted and that kind of thing. But yeah, there's not one that we can follow from the state, but I took from people who've paid attorneys to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
good, good.
I don't know enough about it to poke any holes in it, so I'm gonna take your word, and,
Okay.
you know, I thought it.
Was there anything that you had questions about, or?
I mean, I don't know enough about the process.
Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, it seems to make sense to me.
Well, the biggest thing is that as an institution and as a board, we feel strongly that it's up to each individual and each parent to make the determination about what books are right for them and their children, but they are not, it is not good practice for them to make those decisions for other people's children or for other individuals. So, and we're not making those decisions for people. We have to have a diverse collection that represents everybody in the community, not just the majority. And we have to have both sides, and we have to make sure that we're providing good information that is well-researched and factual and all that stuff, and that we are providing all of the entertainment from whatever aspect it's coming from. So a balanced collection is what we're going for, and then it's up to our patrons to decide which ones they want to take home.
Okay.
That's really what it comes down to.
Good. Bill, any questions?
I am of the opinion the library, the books, the material here is for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It is not my responsibility to stop every 10-year-old, 16-year-old, whatever. That is the parents'
Yep.
responsibility. It is not mine.
Mhm.
I went through 3 kids, raising them. I'm past that now.
You've done your job.
Huh?
You've done your job.
And
They turned out all right too. though.
they still talk to me, so, but we were careful what they did want, what they did read, what we followed that as parents.
Right.
And I do not think it is us as board members to just ban something because a few people are not happy with it. It's a library for the entire community.
Right.
And we there's a couple good quotes that I've been collecting, and it is, to me, it is important that we make stuff available to everyone, unless it's outright pornographic or something.
We don't buy those.
Yes,
Or
I know.
obscene, right?
Yeah, if it's legally obscene, we cannot purchase it.
Yes, that's,
Yeah.
well, and we shouldn't, but I think we have a pretty good policy in place. You're refining it a little bit, and this is good. I was happy to see this, and I probably.
One of the things about having good policies in place too is that it backs up my staff. They're able to say, it's not me, it says it right here and my board approved it. So, yeah, we just had a situation this week where the rules of conduct policy had to come into play. And it's a one-pager, and it takes, well, it's one page back and front. But it was able to be explained to the unruly patron that it says right here, you cannot do this because you're disrupting other people. It's not my rule. I'm not the one doing it, this is policy.
Right.
So having this kind of stuff in place is really helpful to everybody.
Leanne, any questions?
No, I am so glad you especially put these regulations in there, and I know they were in there already, but
Yeah.
I'm glad they're nice and clear. And I know the Michigan Library Association, they talk about this when you go to your meetings and stuff. Have they ever said, hey, you know, let's let's write up a policy that everyone can use, not make up, write up a policy that everyone can use? Have they ever talked about that?
Partly because there are so many different structures of libraries, it doesn't really work because some of them are city departments and some of them are standalone libraries and some are, you know. So I'm part of a group right now called Think Space through MLA, and the whole program is a year long, and it's all about material selection and book banning and all of that kind of stuff, and First Amendment and all that kind of stuff. And so we're talking a great deal about policies and all that kind of thing. And so I think a lot of our policies are more in line with each other than they had been now with the changes that we're all going back to our libraries and making. So it's getting a little more similar for everybody.
Teresa?
I'm good, no?
So just one question. So have we had any instances in the last 5 years? I can't remember anything.
No, we have had, there have been instances where a parent has said to us, a librarian, I don't like that my child check this book out. I don't think it's appropriate for their age, you know.
Okay.
And we were able to talk to them and they weren't interested in filling out the challenge form.
Okay.
So we haven't had anybody fill out a challenge form in my tenure.
Okay. I didn't remember anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There are some,
Something comes to
Yeah.
mind when I
Go ahead.
So if a student or a young adult is checking out a book, we don't censor what they're checking out,
no,
right? So they're allowed to check out.
We do not operate in loco parentis. The schools do that, but we do not. So
Okay.
if they have a card and they are at the desk with an R-rated movie and a young adult book and they're 10,
So if a
It's up to their
parent comes
parents.
to you and say something, that really, they shouldn't even be saying anything to you. They should be discussing that with their own child.
correct,
Okay.
correct. Yeah. It is not up to the library staff to make those decisions at all.
Right. Particularly if some of it's automatic, you know.
You could go to
self-serve.
self-check, yeah.
True, good point.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a quick question.
Go ahead.
So, do the books, like the booksellers, when they come out with the book, decide like which ones are, you know, young adult, which ones go in the children's section? Do they like? put that-
Sometimes, it depends on the publisher, and, but the librarians make the determination based on reviews, because a lot of the review sources will say this is good for ages 12 to 15, or this is, you know, an adult book, or whatever. So, we make the determination about where it belongs in our library. So if we know that it's not gonna be, that it's probably just fine for 11-year-olds, but if a 9-year-old got it, it wouldn't be good, we put it in the teen section.
You bump it up.
So.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
But not to say that a 9-year-old couldn't access the teen section.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on what's going to
I will make a motion to approve the updated edition of the material selection policy as written.
I second that motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, Claire, for
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
Good work putting that all together.
Yeah, no, it's good practice for me. It's like a fun graduate school assignment. I honestly enjoy them. Linda thinks I'm a big nerd.
Thing that makes her happy during the
So-
day.
Yeah, really?
So you've done a good job of
Library
like,
director.
bringing all those policies and updating them. Which ones are you gonna do next? Is there any more to do, or?
There are some that haven't been updated since, I started in 2018, and we've gotten most of them in that
Okay.
time. But there's a couple that are like 2016 to 2017, so I'm looking at those, and
Okay.
they're not as pressing as
Right,
this one was,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
so, yeah.
Is there anything else like the policies that we should be revisiting on a regular basis that, you know, I don't know, that you might look to us just to see what we think about something, you know, that's written in the whole website or anything?
Not really.
That's great.
Yeah. Do you want me to?
No,
find one?
no,
Okay. Not really. I know there are library directors who do like an advocacy update every time and things like that. I could fill you guys in on what's going on in the bigger world of libraries and things like that, but yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So, and just one last thing before we adjourn. Elections for trustees and
Mhm.
when was that? Is that June? or-
May, I think.
May?
I've got it on my calendar.
Okay,
I've got to check.
okay.
I think it's May and it takes effect in June, something
Yeah, I
like that,
can't remember.
somewhere around in there.
But I guess my point is, time's coming up, right?
Start thinking about, yeah.
So start thinking
Is
about,
anybody falling off? Is anyone's time expired or?
Not before then. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
yeah, so, you know, put your
Oh, just our.
thoughts together and
Oh, who
what
wants?
you wanna do. Okay,
I don't know why that made me laugh, okay.
all right, very good. All right, so with that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
8:04.
All right.
Yeah.
Yay.
All in favor, aye?
Thank you.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Claire.
You're welcome.
Great job.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you, Linda.